Hey everybody, what's going on? This is Dr. Jeff C. May, and welcome to another episode of Doctor's Orders, advice you should actually take. It is actually me sitting in a room talking by myself. But in today's episode, I'm going to give you some quick hitting facts and reignite some fire in your belly, in your heart, wherever it maybe hit you. Sometimes I may hit you where the good Lord splits you today, because in this episode, what we're going to talk about is some crucial things in order to get you over the hump. If you feel like you're stuck, if you feel that you're stuck, you don't know what to do, you don't know like what's the next step. Oftentimes, in my experience, in nearly 2 decades in being in the natural healthcare world, is saying it's not that you don't know what to do, it's that you don't know why you should do it. And so when it comes to your health, one of my favorite old adages is that you can have 1,000 problems, but if health is one of those problems, you actually only have one problem. And I don't know necessarily who said that quote, but if you think about it like this, if you truly value your health, which you could, it's so funny in today's world, because in social media, as you're scrolling through your feed, you'll see these street interviews. And if you haven't, they'll probably pop up on your phone now, thanks to the ears that are always listening. But these street interviews, people will ask, various questions and different things. And I think is a really powerful way to interact with people, because, coming through 2020 and all that we tend not to communicate with people as well. Like literally face-to-face conversations are not necessarily the first line of communication. And so in these street interviews, it's usually something that's really popular in around like political seasons. It could be activists or different aspects, or it could just be like the random drunk people coming out of the bar. They're looking for those viral clips. Well, they'll ask people certain things. And I promise you this, if there was one that just simply asked people the question, is health your highest priority? Or is health one of the most important things in your life? Most people are going to say yes. Doesn't matter if you're Republican, Democrat, tall, short, fat, ugly, pretty, like any demographic you can say, most people are going to say that. And it probably wouldn't be the most interesting street interviews, because most of the time people watch those to see the controversy, to see the taboo things, or what are they talking about. And so ultimately, knowing that most people, like literally probably 99% of people, are going to land on this thing, that health is something that's so valuable. It's probably your most valuable possession, because you can make the counter argument that if you didn't have your health, so say someone says, well, my career is one of my most important things and one of the things I value the most. Well, in absence of your health, meaning you're on your deathbed, you're sick, you have chronic lifestyle disease, no matter what it is, are you able to do your career? Are you able to fulfill your career? Well, the answer is no. And so ultimately, how you gauge something is that if you didn't have it in your life, what would change? And when it comes to your health, if you don't have it, everything changes. Everything changes. Take Steve Jobs, for example. Far successful in the world's view, founder of Apple, and multi billionaire, all of those things. Well, he's dead. Let me say that again. Multi billionaire, in the world's eyes, probably the one of the most successful, innovative, impactful people on human history. He's dead. You see, he doesn't have his health. And so when you look at this, why I'm getting into this and why I'm talking about this is that when 80% now, it used to be like 75%, but I think the latest stats are 80% of people are dealing with chronic diseases, or 80% of deaths of Americans are due to chronic lifestyle diseases. We have to understand that these facts, that nobody gets out alive. When it comes to life, we're all headed towards death. We may get the chance to live every day, but we're all going to die. No matter who you are across the world, we're all headed to the same destination. And the problem is that I love America. And maybe that's not the problem. The problem is that I see so many Americans choosing to help them get to the grave faster. And when you make choices today that aren't going to kill you today, but will actually cause you more problems down the road, you're actually saying, I'm going to help myself die quicker. I'm going to take these things in life and these comforts and all of these things, and I'm going to move away from naturally how my body functions, my biological genome, all of those things, and actually true genetics. And I'm going to move away from it and choose to live a lifestyle that's actually going to perpetuate and speed up not only being sick while I'm here, but dying sooner. That really, really keeps me up at night. Like, that's the thing. Like, if people ever ask, like, hey, what keeps you up at night? Not a whole lot, except for the fact that Americans, we continue to choose to kill ourselves faster. And we're having this slow, painful death when it comes to chronic lifestyle diseases. And I'm talking about cancer, heart disease, diabetes, obesity, dementia, all of these aspects that are tied more to lifestyle than they are to anything else. You can't believe your doctor. You should call your doctor to the carpet and say, hey, you say it's genetics, but in the past, 70 years, 100 years, and even the past, I think it's 50 years when it comes to kids in chronic diseases have quadrupled. Our genetics haven't changed. How long does it take, doctor, to change genetics? Oh man, it probably takes thousands of years. Well, yeah, why has it exponentially increased chronic lifestyle diseases in the past few decades? It's not our genetics. So, Captain Obvious, you're wrong. And so here is the thing. I will never, ever talk to you guys about something that I don't live or that I don't research. And when it comes down to it, I got to keep this simple in a fact that people, one, digest it, and two, take action on it. So here is the scoop. I want you to take an inventory of always, pretty much every episode I do is like, hey, take an inventory of what's around you, what's important, where do you want to be, figuring out the target, figuring out the goals. But ultimately, here's the deal. There's going to be 3 categories I'm going to give you today that one of my coaches and mentors, James Chestnut, passed on to me years and years ago when I was in chiro school. And these 3 categories are going to help you divide out what's important and be able to say, okay, this is like, it's kind of like a win. If you take win and use it as an analogy, the letters WIN stands for what's important now. And so if you can go in the day saying, hey, I'm going to go look for a win, what you're really telling yourself is that I'm going to say, what's important now? And it's a great place to start because so many people feel stuck. They're just like, man, I see these commercials or I see these Facebook ads. You're constantly being inundated with the newest health trend. And maybe I should get a weighted vest. Should I be drinking methylated water? What about hydrogenated water? What about methylating my vitamins? Like it's a never ending cesspool of new things. And some of these new things are great. But unless we do the old things well, like the old biological programs of the 3 categories I'm going to give you right now called eating well, thinking well, and moving well, those 3 categories should always be in front of that statement or after that statement of when you say what's important now, how are you eating, thinking, and moving? Period, end of story. Because we're going to encompass multiple causes with that. The other part of it is that humans, we tend to approach something and say, hey, here's the thing I don't like, AKA a symptom. How do I get rid of that symptom? Without figuring out, well, what's the cause of the symptom? So we really have to ask the question, hey, what's the cause of the symptom? Not just versus the symptom, because pain in and of itself could be a sign of progress. Most people are sitting out there taking painkillers because they want to kill the pain. I realize you don't want to be in perpetual pain, but understanding that pain could be part of you progressing towards your goals. The example I'm going to give you is when you go to the gym and say you always go to the gym and you work out and you work out and you work out. Finally, you catch up with a friend and they've been doing the same thing and they've been working out and working out and working out. And you have this conversation and naturally you say, well, how's it been going? And you're like, well, man, it's been going great. I've been here and I've been so consistent. I actually love working out. It's amazing and all those things. And then your friend kind of looks at you like, really? Because man, I am so sore. I'm getting here, but gosh, my body, I tell you what, it is sore. And you look at him like, oh my gosh, there's pain involved. You're sore. You should stop working out. And then your friend looks at you and you're like, hold on. Yeah, but pain is a sign that there's change happening. And I probably have to go through some discomfort to get stronger, right? And all of a sudden you realize you guys have 2 different paradigms. And so understanding that pain could be part of progress, just treating symptoms and actually getting at the cause, the next step and why these 3 categories of eating well, thinking well, and moving well are so important is because many, many times there are multiple causes. There are multiple causes to a problem. And unless you're addressing multiple causes, here's the kicker. You could be doing exactly what you need to do in one area of the eating, thinking, and moving well, but there's a cause in the other one that's actually contributing to the problem that goes unnoticed, unaddressed, and then you don't get the results you want, and then you actually stop doing the thing that you needed to do in the first place for the other category. Now, I realize that's a heavy one. We're 10 minutes in. These things usually don't go more than 12 to 14 minutes, but I need confirmation that you're with me on this, and I will continue this conversation because eating well, thinking well, and moving well have got to be your mantra when you want that win, when you ask yourself what's important now. So that's a heavy one. I didn't even get to half the stuff I wanted to talk about. And in the future, I promise you I will. But I'm going to leave you with this litmus test and how you know you're on the right track. Because what you're doing, let me just back this up. How do you know what you're doing is the right paradigm? So the right paradigm puts you in a place where what you're doing to improve your health is not only helping your current condition, aka helping you with where you're at now, but it's also helping prevent future problems. Now, let me give you an example. I'm going to come back to my bread and butter called AKA chiropractic. 1895 started, shout out D.D. Palmer, here we go. So chiropractic, many times when people come into my office, it starts with an ache or a pain, and it starts with, say, headaches, shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, sciatica, whatever it may be. It starts with a pain. But yet there's a majority of my practice and my patients that show up week in, week out to get checked for subluxation nerve interference that necessarily don't have pain, and yet they're getting adjusted. Why is that? I thought chiropractic was a treatment for neck pain and back pain. No, actually it's not. Chiropractic, let me ask you this. Does it help with neck pain and back pain? Yeah, absolutely. Well, wouldn't you want your spine mobility and function and breaking up of scar tissue and proper mobility over the course of your entire life? Don't you think you'd have more energy, sleep better immune system because it's tied in with the nerve system? Yeah. You see, chiropractic addresses a core need called moving well, aka one of those categories. And so when you look at that, chiropractic is no more than a treatment for neck and back pain than it is a success strategy for a healthy lifestyle. So that's truly what it is. In fact, it's not treatment of neck pain and back pain. It's a success strategy to be healthy. Just like, for example, there was a study done in 2009 on vitamin D, and they showed that if you got your blood level of vitamin D between 40 and 60 nanograms per milliliter, and Nurse Sarah can check that for you in her office. You can get your blood vitamin D serum level tested almost anywhere. It's super simple. But if you got your blood serum level 40 to 60 nanograms per milliliter, it will reduce 58,000 cases of breast cancer in the US per year and like 46,000 cases of colon cancer a year. Not only that, but it would drop cancer deaths for those two in the United States and Canada down by about 75% a year. That's vitamin D. Now, the question is vitamin D a treatment for cancer? No. But vitamin D is required for your immune system to function and be healthy, along with omega-3s. So when you look at this, you know you're in the right paradigm in your categories that I gave you today of eating well, thinking well, and moving well, when what you're doing is not only helping you where you're at, but it's helping prevent and actually helping your body function healthier, happier, and more productive today and in the future. That's where you want to be. And I'll tell you what, those are your doctor's orders to get after that today. We'll talk soon.